Shapiro. I'm the director of Eureka Day, and I've been really lucky to have Zoe with me as my associate on the project.
Hi, I'm Zoe Adams, and I am the Drama Lake Stage Directing Fellow, and I am the associate on Eureka Day.
I was super excited because normally I just hire an assistant. I kind of have a regular assistant that I have in New York, and then when I came to MTC, they said, "Hey, we have the Drama League person. Are you cool with that?" And I said, "That's fantastic because I love anything that has anything to do with a program that is bringing directors along, and I think that the more practical experience they can have, the better." And I'll be totally honest in that I don't expect a ton because I just feel like that's not what the deal is. So I've been really happy because not only did I feel like you kind of took the temperature of the room and made yourself kind of adapted to the temperature of that room, but that you were able to do it in a way that you were also authentically able to stay who you were. So then I got to know who you were, which made me able to talk to you about what I was doing and ask you questions and have you help me. And so, for me, I can just say it's been a totally invaluable experience. And that's why I've asked you to do my next Broadway show with me.
Yeah.
So that's been my experience with you.
Yeah, and I think that the interesting part of that is that was like a skill I was developing in real time in the room with you. Because I feel like historically, I don't go into rooms and feel welcome. I sort of feel like an outsider, and I make myself small and sort of shrink myself to sort of not draw attention and just sort of just feel like I can not sort of cause any chaos or anything, which is just like a historical habit, I guess, of mine. But I realized in the room, I witnessed you sort of bring your full self into the room. You were willing to open up about who you are outside of just being an artist. Because you are all these things. You are a mother, you are an artistic leader, an educator, a woman. All of those things were brought into the room, and you were so focused on truth and building trust with everyone in the room by really revealing yourself, that it did feel like I was like, oh, there's space here for me to sort of do the same thing.
Well, that is so great because I do think that you said something to me about that, and then Johanna, our assistant, our costume associate, said a similar thing about it's been really great to be in a room with a female director who kind of owns her life as a woman, and that's distressing to me because I thought that was old. I thought that was you guys were done with that, and that there has been some path paved where you don't have to do that anymore. So I think if I had to say right now, what was the best part of the experience is two young female artists saying to me, thanks. I feel like now if you can be yourself in the room, then my job is to be myself in the room. And it's a selfish thing for me because you've heard me say this before, but I think I started directing plays because I wanted to be in rooms whose kind of dynamic I could control because I did not feel in control in other rooms, without getting too personal. So I just felt well, I can create these rooms where the rules are the rules I wish were the rules of my life every day, which is mutual respect, good sense of humor, forgiveness, hard work, and that is an active thing that I do in the rehearsal room. So I think that you would probably be really disappointed if you met me in real life because I'm really not really paying attention, not super interested. But in the rehearsal room, I always remember oh, directors, it's our room. And when we don't take the room, there's all kinds of problems, and you have to take the room. I mean, sometimes people take it in a negative way. I'm sure sometimes that works. I wouldn't even know how to do that. I don't have the kind of I mean, I think I'm right a lot, but I don't think I'm right enough to like shout down at everyone in the room and not have anybody say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the thing with that, like you're sort of hinting at, is your approach to collaboration.
Yeah.
Because you really are a collaborative artist. Where I've watched, I was able to bring ideas to you, and you were willing to, like, again, give that focus, give that attention, consider it, take it, leave it, whatever. I watched you do that with the designers, and obviously your work with actors is amazing, because you are like really willing to let them play.
Look, if I could say, I get to spend a lot of time with young directors because I teach, right? And I'm at Northwestern, and we have a graduate directing program, and so I get to, and my students came. I remember they came to rehearsal, flew out here, which was really fun. But if I had like 1 minute or one thing to say to a young director, it would be along the lines of what you're talking about, which is, in the end, it's your deal. You're the boss in the end. In the end, they essentially have to do what you say. So why would you start that way? Why do you have to like assert, like, your leadership comes from your text analysis, your preparation for rehearsal. You're becoming a student of what actors do, right? If you're not an actor, like I'm not an actor. So I had to spend a lot of my time figuring out what actors do and being authentically curious about what they do. Like, that's what you need to be spending your time doing. So that you can go into a room and be clear enough, to everyone who's gotten there about what the task is, and then create the structure for everybody to grow. Like, sometimes with younger directors, it's just like this white knuckle grip. They can never be wrong. They have to answer every question. They think that a really hard hand means they're running something. But a really hard hand just means, they're only going to get what they know. And I don't ever feel like I know enough to just get what I know. So I think that's a huge part of it. So again, it's like, it's not because I'm a nice person, and it's not because I'm even maybe authentically interested in the people in the room. I'm not going to lie. But I'm really interested in getting the best from everybody. And authentically, to do that, you can't just fake make space for people. It doesn't work. And they also, then what happens is that you run out of gas, right? You'll start with a director who's a mentor who's like, yes. And then when the when the shit hits the fan, sorry, they're like, can you just get me a tuna sandwich and a vodka?
Yeah.
Because it's not real.
Yeah.
But I think in all of the panics that I've had in the last week, I feel like you've had them with me.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I've been having to panic alone.
No.
Even though I do get to turn to and go.
Yeah.
So why would I not want someone I could turn to and go in a full Broadway theater?
Yeah, and even whenever you scream, "I want a fountain soda right now," you don't actually expect it to be brought to you.
No.
Yeah.
No. And then when you bring me a fountain soda, I'm stunned, and it was so nice, and it felt like a present and not like an errand to run. No, I've learned I can get my own damn coffee.
You are very independent.
I want to tell you, I really did not used to be, because I thought that all of the support that I got when I got successful was an indicator of my success. Like, the more I didn't have to do for myself, the more I could ask for, it just shored me up and made me feel like a big man, like, to do that.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you grow up a little bit, and you're like, well, that's just gross. And that's something must be wrong with your relationship to your work, because that's compensatory behavior. Like, if you're hungry, go get yourself something to eat. If you need a coffee, go get yourself a coffee. Because what that usually means for a director is that you just need to get out of there.
Yeah.
You need to walk out of the room. You don't need to, like, see how many people will do what you say.
Yeah, because it wasn't the like, how you exist in the rehearsal room is it feels like you are one of the players. It feels like you are, you're taking the time on a break to, to check in with your family, to go get a coffee, to, sort of just continuing to exist.
Right.
With everyone in the room. So it doesn't feel like there's like because we're on a break now, that we've sort of like broken the spell of everyone sort of being in the trenches together working on this thing.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
And I think that comes, honestly, that whole energy is because I had great mentors. I really did. I had 2 great teachers when I was an undergrad who became mentors to me. And when people like will reflect back to me like you just did, I'll be like, in my mind, I go, oh, that was Sheldon, or oh, that was Michael. Because you see, you become what you see. Yeah. And there was just never, the hierarchy was a responsibility hierarchy, not like a I know better hierarchy. It was actually like true leadership is that you take the responsibility, that everyone's, you have to have the responsibility of everyone heading in the right direction. When somebody, it's like I was telling you when I was like, well, why will she not take that note? It's like, well, then I just haven't created the conditions for her to take the note. Even though I could make her take the note, I could just keep saying it over and over again, and then she would eventually take the note, but that doesn't help anyone. And again, that's not because I'm nice. It's because I want the performance to be repeatable organically so that when I leave, you don't have to keep coming in and fixing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the other thing I witnessed that was a real sort of like, was sort of a breakthrough for me just in terms of process is your approach to verbally stating giving circumstances and continuing to circle back to them and restate them for the actor. Yeah. I feel like now I'm going to steal that, and I know how to use that. I already knew about how to use given circumstances and their benefit, but I had never really seen it be such a part of, like, a continuous part of the process. It wasn't just when we were at the table.
No.
It's sort of a constant, like, circling back to it.
Yeah.
To continuously remind the actor.
Because that's on what they base their decisions and their choices, is their given circumstances. And it's why you don't just want to be in a relationship to the actor's process where it's just no, do it this way, go faster. This is because they can't repeat that. They can't repeat it, and they can't evolve, right? Because so it's just as simple as like I want them to stop having to think, right? And it's like the example that I gave you, I think I gave to you, where I said, like, if we were talking right now and I was like, and the best thing that's happened in this period of time is Trump finally being reelected, because I was really worried about that. Like, even you just smiling like that, a million things happen to you about me when I say that you don't have to show, you don't have to act, you don't have to think about. And when you set those given circumstances up for actors, they're independent contractors out there then. And then everything they can bring, they have access to. And you and I, no matter how smart we are, we don't have a note that's going to unlock all of those things. They are, we're second generation artists, right? We respond to something and then we react. But actors are first generation artists, because that character is just a suit hanging in a closet. So you need to give them more than just your opinion. Because if they hate you, when you leave, other things will be happening.
Yeah.
So, yeah.